Hello, everyone. Welcome to our OpenShift community, OpenShift Commons community meeting. So we meet every Wednesday at 12 Eastern Time and 9 p.m. Pacific Time. Today with me, I have Jaya, who will be talking about solutions patterns. But before talking about this, I want to let you know that OpenShift Commons general meetings is really a place when we all meet to discuss different things. And also, you are very welcome to join us at any time from end users, customers, partners. We all contribute and collaborate, and you have the opportunity to ask questions to our experts. So it's a really, really interesting session as we have here today. I have Jaya, who is amazing. We've been working with her for a while. She's an expert on solutions patterns. So she will be walking us through about what solutions patterns are, what they are important, what we can do with them, but also she will be focusing on a specific pattern. So Jaya, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Valentina, for your very pleasant welcome. And thank you so much for having me over here today. Today we'll talk about solution patterns, and we will have a look at one of those solution patterns. I hope everything goes well because it's going to be a live demo here, right? Let me introduce myself. I am Jaya Christina Baskaran. I'm based out of Bangalore. I've been with Red Hat for the last 6 years, 6.5 years to be precise. And I look at, I've worked as a solution architect, and now I work as a technical marketing manager with application developer BU. And my interests heavily lies on developer focused areas, and of course, building cloud native applications on Red Hat OpenShift. So while we're looking at ways of helping our customers to understand how Red Hat's portfolio can help you to realize different use cases, as how solution patterns came about. And that is how we started building out the solution patterns, which basically focuses on how to use the various portfolio of Red Hat technologies, plus the fantastic open source complementary projects out there, plus partner solutions to build solutions that customers can get inspiration from, or even perhaps use it in their own projects. Before we get into all of that, what is a pattern? Why is it called a solution pattern? A pattern is, this is a dictionary meaning of that, right? A pattern is a noun, which is a repeated decorative design, typically used to model or design, perhaps needlework or crafts. But I also was looking at my daughters playing around with Lego, right? So I always thought that Lego is also part of those patterns. So the books that we get and all the guides that we can download is all part of building patterns. And then if you search Wikipedia, that's what Wikipedia says. What's a software design pattern? A software design pattern is a reusable solution. It gives you a template rather than a complete solution. It helps you, it gives you a template so that you can use it in different situations, provides you best practices, and you can use it to solve common problems while you design an application or a system. So the keywords being reusable, you have templates for different solutions, best practices, common problems, and all of that while you're designing for your for meeting your customer, for meeting your own business challenges, right? And so while we have some great, fantastic technologies out there, multiple projects and products, and all of the open source goodness that Red Hat brings in, we hope that solution pattern will help you to put all of those Lego pieces to actually build out something which is of use to you, which is of interest to you, and which will help you to meet your challenges at work. Red Hat Solutions is part of an overall umbrella called the Red Hat Architecture Center. We have different offerings under the Architecture Center. We have solution architectures, which talk about a larger view of how do you implement solutions. We have the patterns, validated patterns, solution patterns, which focus on how do you actually build the solutions. It has got implementation. We have, it comes with not just conceptual architectures and diagrams, but this is complete implementation with automation, so that whenever you have you are provided with everything that you need to replicate the pattern in your own environments. So bring your own environment. We provide you all the instructions. We provide you with all of the code that you would need, perhaps Ansible scripts, the GitOps stuff, the Helm charts, and everything that you would need to be able to actually see and run a particular pattern in your own system. Everything is open source, as always, and it is made available to you through our websites. We also have ecosystem solutions, which focuses on partner solutions. And I believe there is value for everyone here, right from CXOs on to technical owners and managers to understand what is possible. We would like to call it the art of the possible. What is possible with Red Hat's portfolio? For tech leads, for platform engineers, for DevOps engineers, and for developers and hands-on users, there is a lot of content out there for them to get ideas from, to get inspired by, and also an actual code that you can reuse for your own projects. So I already introduced solution patterns to you. The primary focus being we help you to solve common scenarios, real world use cases, and so that can help you in your cloud adoption and in your application modernization journey, and thereby innovate faster. The solution patterns io.io page is we have recently launched this page just around Summit. I will walk you through one of those pages and one of the solution architectures, solution patterns out there, and you would actually see what kind of content that is available there, right from the use cases and how a particular pattern can be applied to other use cases as well. What is a value proposition? What is architecture? What are the technologies? And like I said, we also provide you all the automation scripts and guides that you would need to be able to replicate this in your own environment. We also make an effort to provide developer resources for you to learn more about those technologies. Whatever, if a certain thing is interesting, you can delve deeper in that particular technology as well. In today's session, we will have a look at one of those solution patterns that we have, what we call the event-driven intelligent application, which is based on OpenShift serverless, using Red Hat streams for Apache Kafka. We have Quarkus, and we have a lot of other technologies which are put together to build a solution. So we will have a look at the demo first. We'll spend about 10 minutes or so, 10 or 15, maybe a little bit more on the demo. And then let us have a look at how do you actually use the solution pattern website, what kind of content is out there. And then we will also see how to use all of the material that is going to be made available to you. Okay, so we all know real-time event-driven applications is very important. Data is gold. And so we all know that we want to be able to use data to arrive at excellent, intelligent decisions in the end, right? That is all the whole point of gathering data. So we start off with gathering data from multivarious data sources and use connectors to access that data, and then some sort of a streaming platform to process the data, and then use the data to analyze and predict, and thereby take intelligent actions. So data is extremely important, but unless you're able to use the data, transform it for your own needs, and for you to be able to use that in a usable fashion, right? Data is not really going to be of much use. And imagine if you're able to access the data on real time. So that is where the real-time event-driven applications and data comes into picture. The building blocks for this particular solution pattern is there are 3 building blocks. These days, AML has to be a given, right? So we have AML as well as part of one of the building blocks. So 3 blocks being Kafka, which provides you the event streaming platform. Knative, which is based on, in this case, we are going to be using OpenShift serverless, which is based on Knative. And then we will use a couple of models for us to be able to realize the solution that we are building here. So Kafka, you would see Red Hat's version of Kafka, Red Hat Stream for Apache Kafka. I think Kafka doesn't need much of introduction, but for people who are not very familiar, Kafka provides you distributed, horizontally scalable data platform. It is extremely fault tolerant, and you have rewind facilities. Think Hermione when she had to go back and write her exams again, right? Something like that. So even if we have new consumers who need the data, they can go and start reading from the stream of data from a different starting point. And then, of course, it enables you to build distributed data streams. So you don't have to, you can build connectors from data sources from across different geos or different regions, or even from different disparate environments. And then you can also have your stream processing applications also being in different locations. It need not necessarily have to coexist or be running on the same environment, right? So Kafka provides you a fundamental way of accessing data or even contributing back into it, back into your data stream very easily. OpenShift Serverless, which is based on the Knative project, helps you with multiple things, right? The first one being helps you to scale to zero, thereby being able to respond to requests easily. And also, of course, conservation of your resources, especially these days when you have very heavy AI/ML models, which are not being actually used very frequently. For example, imagine a situation you have an intelligent application that you need to access perhaps once in a day, or perhaps that you would like to access something maybe once in 2 hours. There is no point consuming so much of resources on the cloud, perhaps, right? So Knative serving helps you to scale up very quickly and scale up more than one replica based on your HTTP requests. It also helps you with traffic management as well. And with Knative eventing, which is again part of Knative framework itself, you can build decoupled event-driven architectures. In today's solution pattern that we would see, we would heavily be using Knative eventing to build out this decoupled event architectures. So why Knative eventing for this? Knative eventing provides you an abstraction for you to access your Kafka topics. So you remember we spoke about Kafka topics earlier. So you have Kafka topics, which will be gathering information. But for a developer, rather than having to rather than having to know about the integrities of accessing Kafka topics, you provide kind of an abstract layer. And so as a developer, I would still be accessing those Kafka topics as a HTTP request. And when we use cloud events as the data format here, and Knative eventing also helps you to filter, route all of those data that flows in, thereby being able to build a fantastic event-driven architecture framework. So I will show all of this to you, and it'll all fall in place while we actually see the demonstration over here. And like I said, the event format is based on the new CNCF cloud event. It has been recently included as part of the CNCF Foundation. And the nice thing about the Knative eventing is that you can have different event-driven applications. You do not have to have a single technology or a single endpoint or a single source. You can build out an event-driven architecture across a heterogeneous applications of different styles and different types. Like I said, no demo is complete without AML. In this case, for this particular demo, we have Python applications with embedded model, because it's from a demo perspective only. And so that is why the model itself is embedded within the Python application. What we are using over here are BERT-based LLM models, which help you to do a couple of things. For this particular use case, we are looking at checking for abusive language and identifying sentiment score. But in production, really, you would ideally want to use something like OpenShift AI, which will help you to deploy those LLM models. And then you would use those endpoints from within your applications. It could be a Python or a Quarkus, or could be any of your applications, right? So that's how you would typically do it in production. Now, different organizations have different ways of deploying LLM models, or different LLM models themselves. At Red Hat, we have multivarious offerings right now for developers, for data scientists, for MLOps. We have multiple technologies that we offer under the OpenShift AI umbrella for you to be able to try this out. So I highly recommend that you check out, say for example, Podman AI, or you can check out Instruct Labs for you to, get your hands on LLM models in a very easily accessible way. And then, like I said, in production, you may also want to consider using LangChain or LangChain Forge. Quarkus has got fantastic extensions to use LangChain Forge to communicate with the LLM models rather than you having to hand code everything, right? So it makes it very easy for you to be able to access LLM models with OpenAI specifications as well. All right, so now it's time for us to go live. I'm just going to stop presenting for a second and showcase my screen. Okay. So let's have a look at the solution patterns itself. Okay, this is the solution patterns website. Why I'm showing you this while I'm stopping the live demo is that I will show you where do you access whatever I'm going to walk you through, right? Solutionpatterns.io is the website where you would be able to access and explore all of the patterns. If you click on explore patterns, we have about 15 patterns at this point in time. You can choose any of these patterns. For example, if I choose the navigate API evolution with versioning, you would be presented with the solution pattern itself. So each solution pattern would have discussions around what are the use cases, what is actual solution, some discussions around the architectures, for example, what are the common challenges, and how this particular solution pattern addresses those challenges with regards to what technologies are being used, and certain discussions around the architecture itself. And then you would see a section called see the solution in action. See the solution in action. Let me slow down a little bit here. You would see what are the prerequisites that you would need. Typically, you would need an OpenShift environment. You would need the OpenShift CLI. And then we would also need Ansible CLI as well. Some patterns use Ansible, some patterns do not use Ansible. So everything is documented for you. And then installing the demo literally walks you through step by step in terms of what is it you have to do for you to set it up. So once you finish setting up the installation, there is a walkthrough guide, as in it literally helps you to walk through each step for that, so that you understand the pattern, and then you're able to replicate this entire thing in your own environment. If you're not able to replicate this in your environment, you can walk through the pattern itself for you to understand the art of the possible, like I said earlier, right? So some of the patterns, we are making a concerted effort to record patterns. So will make sure that all of the patterns have got a recording as well, so that if you're unable to actually set it up in your own environment, you don't have access to an environment, you'll still be able to understand how to basically create a particular use case based on this particular pattern, right? So that is what I have done. In this use case, we are using a different pattern altogether. The pattern that we are using over here is the event-driven intelligent applications. So it's the event-driven intelligent applications. I have partially set it up. Otherwise, the whole thing gets set up. You can either set up the whole solution itself, or you can do like a step-by-step approach. Think of like a workshop, right? So that way. So I have set up partially. You would see over here that I have a couple of OpenShift projects that have been already set up. I have already created all of that just to save time. And then we have a few services which have been already implemented. Now, as part of this environment, I also have a web application. Now, this is here is where I introduce. There is a fictitious retail company called Globex. Now, this fictitious retail company has got an e-commerce website, and what they would like to do is that they would like to understand their customers better. They would like to understand how well the customers actually like the products. So one of the ways of doing that is to start understanding a bit more about the product reviews that the customers would leave on their websites. And so that is how this whole thing starts. Now we have a skeleton of content, a skeleton of the services needed to build this solution out. We don't have all the pieces here yet. So let us go and finish the rest of the pieces. The first step is we need a Knative service, which will help you to persist your reviews. Because the other services, so if you look at this, right, I have a few other services already in place, but I'm just going to be adding one additional service just for us to understand how do you build Knative service. So I hope the screen is visible enough, big enough for you to be able to see this.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the first step is to create a Knative service. I'm just going to click on those here, play of this particular file, and the Knative service gets run for me. Okay. Okay, so first step is to create this particular service. So if you actually look at this particular service, what are we saying here? This is my image, okay? And please deploy this particular image in this particular namespace. And there's something interesting over here is what we call the auto scaling feature here. So it is possible for us to annotate a Knative service to say the minimum scale is 1. And then you would see this particular service, which was not there earlier, has been created. Now, you may be wondering why do we have some services as auto scaling as 1 and some of the services are auto scaled to 0? Because if you have a look at this, right, there is no blue line over here. So which means that these services are auto scaled to 0 actually. The reason being, this particular service is based on database. It's a database service, and it is not great practice for us to actually, make connections, disconnect, make a connection again. It is not great practice. So we are just going to keep this particular service, which makes connections to database as which makes connection to a database as auto scaling as 1. And the next step would be for us to be able to create Kafka syncs. Now, if you remember, when we spoke about Knative providing you the level of abstraction for you to be able to actually, for a developer to write into Kafka topics. So that is where Knative, the Kafka syncs come into picture. Of course, it is possible for you to be able to write directly from your service into a Kafka topic. But when you build out an architecture like this, where you have Kafka syncs, that as a developer, the developer does not need to know where exactly the developer is writing a particular message to. So you provide that level of abstraction. At some point in time, if you want to re-architecture this, it is very easy for you to be able to re-architecture this in a very, very simple fashion, right? So that is where the Kafka syncs help you. The Kafka sync plus the Kafka binding helps you to do this. So actually, if you have a look at the product reviews, I have a service which actually writes into the Kafka topic. And if you look at the environments, it really doesn't write. It does not know where to write. So that is where the Kafka sync and the Kafka binding will actually come into a picture. Now I'm just going to create them both, which would mean that the Kafka sync binding, which is again part of the Knative ecosystem, now will actually update the environment variable of this particular deployment with the endpoint. So what does this actually mean? This basically means that you, as a developer, I write code and I don't honestly worry about what is my endpoint. So all I have to worry is that what does my application need to do? And the Kafka sync binding helps me to bind my service to Kafka very easily. So you have that nice level of abstraction out there. Okay, so now we have created a bunch of Kafka syncs, and we have all of the Kafka syncs and the Kafka what do you call the bindings and all of that available right at this point in time. This is one little bit of a challenge over here, because when you start creating stuff, right, it just goes all over the place. So apologies about that. And now we have the syncs and sync bindings, but now how do we build out this event-driven architecture, right? I keep talking about event-driven architecture. There is this how you actually could do this. Now you have a way of writing from your service onto Kafka. But now once a message gets into Kafka, what do you do with that message? And that is where the second half of the event mesh comes into picture. Now, all of your stuff is here in the Kafka topic. And a combination of Kafka source and Kafka broker with triggers and filters will help you to direct your message to the right endpoint. In this case, the use case over here is that when a customer types in a review command, let me actually show you how that looks like, right? Let us just go to a particular page, and then let us look at this really cool socks. It expects me to log in. This whole thing has been integrated with Keycloak as well, Red Hat build of Keycloak. The reason I'm calling that out is the reason I'm calling this out for you that we're using Red Hat build of Keycloak is that you would have access to this code as well, right? So once you have access to the code, you can actually have a look at how this whole thing looks like, and so that it makes it easy for you to be able to replicate this in your own environments. Cool. So this is my socks, and the idea behind this entire solution pattern is that when you provide a review, I want to moderate the review. We don't want abusive language. We don't want any F-bombs and stuff like that to appear on the screen. The other thing is that for the product managers, when I'm saying product managers, I'm talking about, for example, the Globex product line owners, right? For example, there could be folks who are looking at how are my bags selling, how are my t-shirts selling. So they get an idea in terms of which kind of product lines are doing well, which ones are not really doing well. Okay, so that is how that is the reason behind us setting this up. Okay, so we're just going to create the broker. The broker is the one which will help you to read from the Kafka topic and then push it to various other services which will actually act on those reviews. Then the Knative source is the one which has what is my Kafka topic, what are the topics that I'm interested in, what is my secret, and all of that, right? So that is what the Knative source does. And I'm just basically running all of them. And then if I go back to my screen and show you where we are, so we have the Kafka source here, we have the Kafka broker, and now the Kafka source can now talk to our Kafka itself, because you saw that it is now connected to the Kafka that's already been set up. Now you would actually let us try to set up the triggers. What are triggers now? I just run that. Let us see how our system is going to respond to the triggers. Get on that. Yeah. So now you see here, these lines start appearing, right? So what do these triggers do? Let me open up one of those triggers. This trigger says that if the particular message, if you remember, I spoke about cloud events. If a particular cloud event has got certain headers, and then that particular message will get routed to this particular service. Okay. So if you have an event which says that it has been already review moderated, that particular message would flow into the service. Or if you have a message which says that a review has been submitted, it will go to a different service. So what does this mean? Think of that you have data coming in from multivarious sources. If you remember, if you look at going back to our data sources aspect of it, you may have data flowing from multiple sources. And then you basically tag each of those messages using certain headers. And then when the data flows in through Kafka or a data streaming platform, you can use the Knative eventing then to route those messages to the right consumers. So you have a completely decoupled environment where the producer of those messages has got no idea where the messages has to go to. They're not bothered about that, honestly. They only have to, first of all, to ensure that their messages are of the cloud event style data format, right? And then you set up your Knative eventing in such a way that you have your filters and your triggers, so your data actually flows to the right services here. Okay, And let me go back and show you this how this trigger works once more. There are three triggers that I have created. We have three services here. One is the persisting service. Another one basically reviews the identifies the sentiment analysis of the reviews. Another one is how do you moderate those reviews. So depending upon the header on each of these services, or depending upon the event headers, what we call the cloud event headers on each of the services, it gets routed to all of them. So this is how this looks like when you see this. There are three subscribers right now, and then each of them has got filters depending upon the data. And this information that you see over here, the source and the type, is basically a header of those messages which will flow. I will show you all of that right now. We have finished setting up all of everything that we need. And now let us actually go and try it out. Okay, I can't understand. Okay, this is lorem ipsum. And so let me say really full pair of source. Okay. I have, let me click on submit review. What I want to now show you is that you would see that the data will start flowing in, and these ones start turning blue, which means that this have responded back to those events, and they are scaled up to 1 on demand. Okay, and if you have a look at where is my just showing you the actual how each of the review comments will look like. The first review, when you submit a review, this is how the Kafka message looks like. This is the browser for streams for Apache Kafka that we have recently launched. It's still in the tech review. Check this out, okay? Here you would see that this message had something called submit review and submit review event. And these headers, that is called the CE type and the CE source. CE stands for cloud event. CE source and the CE type should have to match the triggers that we have. In this case, this would match this particular, I'm looking the wrong one there, I'm sorry. So this would match the CE event, and then you should submit review event. So basically the entire source data and your filters and your triggers should match for you to be able to build a proper event mesh out of it. Okay, so we have submitted. Let me go back and let us have a look at the comments again. So this is my comment. This is my review. I submitted a review. Great, fantastic. This is my review comment. This is my name, some bit of what is my product ID and all of that. And then what else happens? There are two more services that we saw, right? One service basically checks whether the language is acceptable or not, and then that provides checks that, okay, score is -1, which means that it is non-abusive. That is good. I can show that on the screen, which is fantastic. And I have the last one, which basically identifies a sentiment score. The sentiment score over here says the score is 3. It's a positive review. And so which means that if I go back to my screen here, I should be able to actually see the content right over here. And so let us do one more thing. Let us try to simulate, much more content out here. Let's try. I have a simulator as well here. Okay, you can try this out yourselves. Clothing catalog. I'll click on execute, and in a few seconds you would see. If I go back to the topology, these two services had gone down to 0. They scale up back again, and then you see that responses, the 25 products. Let us just execute a few more times. Basically, what about 150 executions that we'll be able to see, and hopefully they start appearing here as well. Cool. So we have more reviews that got picked up and that got generated by the simulator, and then it started flowing through this entire event mesh that we had just built. Now we have also built a fun little dashboard over here using Grafana. That you would see here is that this Grafana dashboard, what this does is it starts. Just gonna double check this. Yeah. So now this Grafana dashboard now starts pulling up this information. Okay, so it says that 124 reviews were positive, 22 were neutral, 33 were negative reviews, and it gives you kind of a graph in terms of where does the review stand. And the last sentiment was positive, and so on. We can also try to now maybe do a bags one. Try the catalog of the bags. Let me just pump in a few more reviews here. And if you start looking at this, the bags also start appearing over here. So you would see the kind of review comments flowing through. You would see it on the screen also. Let me see if I can show you some more bags. Yeah, there's a bag over here. We'll be like, oh, perfect. Okay, so we do have bags over here. So you see that um, some of them have good reviews, some of them have bad reviews, and that is why the dashboard also shows you different levels of sentiment. So this particular use case can actually be used for multiple ways, right? For example, it could be if you want to track the performance of your products, if you want to track the performance of your IoT devices on the manufacturing floor. If you want to see on real time, you'll be able to build out all of the a complete event mesh of different data sources, of complete event mesh of different endpoints of consumers of this data, and also various dashboards. So depending upon the personas, you can actually build out different things that you would actually need. And so that kind of sums up the solution pattern. And all of this is very simple. Like I said, you go to a solution pattern over here, you basically run an Ansible script, and it gives you a guided walkthrough of for you to be able to run create all of the everything that I spoke about in a step-by-step fashion. And I'm just going to pause for a second here. And any questions anybody's got?
This was great. Thank you. I really enjoy it, especially the serverless, and you use the developer perspective, which is really, I think, is a very compelling view of to understand all the components and how they interact with each other. So that's really good. Thank you. But also, if I want to contribute into this, what will be the process that I should take? Can anyone contribute to solution patterns?
I'm glad you asked, Valentina. There was my next request, actually. So contributing to solution patterns is, uh, we would love to have contributions from our customers, from the field, from our partners, and also from the community, right? So if you go to solution patterns, right, you would see the contribute button over here, and there is a quick start guide. It's extremely simple. So different patterns are of different how is it complexity. So not all patterns are extremely complex. So if there is a demonstration, or if there is any use case that is of use to the customers, of course we are looking at Red Hat solution patterns, so at least based on mostly on Red Hat technologies, right? So if we have a use case or a demonstration based on Red Hat technology, we would love to have your contributions to us. And this is the way you can do this. We have a website. There's a template right over here. It is basically on the contributors website that I showed you. There's a step-by-step guide over here. It says that use this template, create a new template, and once you have finished all of that, once you have created your solution pattern, what you could do is just let us know that you're ready. Just submit over here this form, saying that you have a pattern, and then it goes through a bit of a review process, and then we will publish that. Now I was just trying to look for the Credly badge. Actually, we have a Credly badge.
Nice.
Yeah, we have a Credly badge for contributors as well. So you would be given a contributors badge for Architecture Center for Solution Patterns. I was just trying to see if I can find it. Looks like it is so new that it is not appearing yet here, but I promise it is there. And yeah, this is
It's
too long.
paginated. Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, there are many pages
So
and maybe
yeah, there
some.
are too many pages here, but yes, we do have a credit badge for you made available for all of your contributions. And if you have an idea, it is not necessary that you have to contribute only with creating new patterns. Okay, so contributions can be of multiple ways. Your contribution could be even raising bugs, saying that this particular thing doesn't work the way that you want it to. It could be an idea that you could potentially present, or it could be correction in source code or correction in typos. All kinds of contributions are we would love to have your contributions in all different ways.
That is great. And also I heard that you may be talking with our SIG, the validated patterns as well, maybe in the next weeks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm sorry, I think I stopped sharing the screen. Yeah, so we would be we have multiple patterns. So we are hoping to have we would be having other some of my other colleagues as well who will be presenting the solution patterns and other patterns as well on the validated patterns SIG, hopefully in a couple of weeks. Like I said, we have patterns for different kinds of personas, for developers, for platform engineers, for cloud engineers, right? So we are hoping to be able to present another pattern on the validated pattern SIG. I think in the next couple of weeks, right, Valentino? That's what we were discussing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yes. I love this and looks so great. This page is amazing. And it's a easy way to explore how we can, the art of the possible, right? What you were saying, but also I found that those use cases have a lot of value and very practical. So I think just clicking there, and also I like that it has the step by step, so you can actually review the content and go there and implement it in your environment. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this. Any other questions?
Not for me.
Okay, well, I will stop the recording. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you. Have an amazing day. See you next Wednesday.